Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in. Welcome to Sold with Updike Pugh.
My name is Jeff Updike.
And I'm Weston Pugh, and this is episode 24. And we've got a great show in store for you today. We picked some great homes. One of the things that we talked about doing was talk about affordability in the marketplace and really show people single-family homes that actually should be considered or could be considered affordable in the marketplace.
Yeah, we've got a home that's in the 260 range, and then I think we've got some in the threes, and one that's kind of on the higher end of affordability in the fours. But they're all really great properties and great locations.
And we tried to look for ones that would be move-in ready rather than something that you had to do a bunch of work to. So sit back and let us talk about our homes.
Yep.
What's the first one we got, Jeff?
The first one we're going to talk about today is 3209 Sharpview Lane. This is a really great home that is right off of Jim Miller and I-30. It is near a couple of really important neighborhoods. White Rock Hills is a really well-established single-family neighborhood. Just to the north of that is a neighborhood called Claremont, which is one of the first neighborhoods that I ever sold a house in.
The memories.
Yep, and it's got great access to White Rock Lake, White Rock Creek. Anytime you get this close to the lake, you're in connection with the hike and bike trails almost instantly. And it's one of those neighborhoods that has a little topography to it. It's got a little history in the neighborhood. It's just a really wonderful place to be.
And one of the things about this neighborhood is that it's so close to actual downtown. On Google Map, this one is actually 6.7 miles from downtown, which is a great clean shot. And then it's only 12 miles if you wanted to jump over and get to Love Field. One of the things that a lot of people in this neighborhood really love is there's some great one-of-a-kind restaurants. One is Hypnotic Donut, one of my near and dear favorites. Great chicken and biscuits if you're looking for that. Then there's also a natural grocer close by, and also one of Dallas's historic Elliott Hardware.
Yes.
So if you're doing some renovation, this is a great place to stop by.
Yep. And this is a great single-family home, one story, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms. It's about 1,900 square feet, built in the 1960s. This has got some really nice original wood flooring through the house that has been done very, very nicely. The kitchen renovations on this one include the white tile and the backsplash, solid surface countertops. It's got, all those things that I think people look for in a renovated home.
Some of the things that they did was they actually opened up some of the walls to allow this is one of those homes that actually had more of a formal side, and then it went into the family and the kitchen. They've actually opened this up and made it really well flow for today's buyers. That back door that you saw in that last picture, that was actually the garage, and the garage actually opens up and there's a powder bath, and then there is a full-size washer and dryer. And also you can go out to a covered patio on this back of this house. One of the things that I really appreciated about this house was that it was a 0.3 of an acre. So it was a little bit of an oversized lot, and that also allowed for the previous homeowner to actually increase the size of the driveway so you have additional parking. And they've actually put in a great oversized shop that actually does have electricity to it. So if you're looking for a true separate place to work, or you're a big wood guy, lots of hobbies, this could be a really go-to for you.
Yeah, it could. And it's got that very traditional layout in the house where you've got, the 3 bedrooms down one side of it. The secondary bedrooms both connect through a Jack and Jill bath that has been done very, very nicely. And the master, which is at the front of the house, is really a large room. And then it's got that big walk-in closet and the big walk-in step-in shower combo there.
Yep. So this is one of those great homes that's been taken down and cleaned up. It's ready for today's buyers. It is priced accordingly. This one is actually came in at $350 even, which puts it at $184.21 per square foot. Again, this is in Buckner Terrace. It is a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2-car garage. And we want to thank Lori Ann Hansen for allowing us to highlight her home.
Excellent. Thank you, Lori.
Yeah. So now we're going to kind of keep moving in the East Dallas area, aren't we?
Yes.
And we're going to run up to 11041 Shortmeadow Drive. And this is a great little neighborhood that's off of Northwest Highway. It's just south of the L Streets. This is one of those neighborhoods that it has a really great access both to 635 down Buckner if you needed to go into Lakewood, and then use Northwest Highway to get back over to 75 and whatnot. One of the great things about this is that you're actually close enough to Flagpole flagpole hill. But if you wanted to participate in one of the Camp Gladiators that they have, either in the mornings or in the evenings, you can do that. And like Jeff said earlier at the other property, this really is close enough for you to be able to get onto some of those trails that would actually take you all the way to and around White Rock Lake.
Yeah, this one is in that northern edge of the Larchwood neighborhood, and Larchwood's really a very, very large subdivision that goes from Northwest Highway all the way down to Garland Road, and it's been one of those, I think, forgotten gems of the city, because it is there are great single-family homes over there that you can renovate, you can buy at a reasonable price, do really great renovation to, and not be priced out of what the market bears.
You're right. And this home isn't what we would call a mid-century modern, but it does have more of a late 70s. It was built in 1969, contemporary. And the current homeowner has actually done an amazing job of actually going back and doing work to this home. It was so nice to meet her. She had such amazing stories to tell about the neighborhood, about how cool everyone is in that neighborhood, and they all get along. And they've started doing a couple things that I thought was unique, where they have a couple of dinners that they do out in the street where they're actually sectioning it off. So if you're looking for a neighborhood that actually has a really good homey feel, this one really did kind of hit all the marks. And then as the pictures roll, you'll see what an amazing job she has done on the renovations of this house.
She did, and she did the xeriscape in the front, which I think a lot of people are really heading toward. You step in and it's got these really clean lines all the way through. Her selections of color and fixtures and finishes just was really tied well together.
It was spot on, and when we were visiting with her, we talked about her influence from Palm Springs, and though she's never lived there, she visits and really had a strong feel to it, and you can see it in the way that she's done the house. One of the things that we really liked about this is that she's gone ahead and had professional renderings done that actually would show how to increase the landscaping in both the front and the backyard to include pool, water features, courtyards,
Outdoor living space,
Yeah.
outdoor dining space. She really went all out on that plan.
So this would be one of those ones that if you wanted to buy this house and then go to the next level with it, it's pretty much in place for you to be able to do that. It's such a clean house in such a great location. Don't expect this one to last very long on the market, just given the way that it is set up for today's buyers. It really does hit all the marks right now.
It does. And it's priced at $469,000. Comes in about $230 a square foot, which for a home of this level of renovation, this location is a really great value.
Absolutely. And we want to say thank you to Melissa O'Brien for allowing us to highlight her home. It was a real treat.
Now, the next home we're going to talk about is in the L Streets. This is at 9505 Larchwood, and it continues that trek northward from there. It is also located in the Lake Highlands neighborhood, close to 635. You've got really great access to downtown by just traveling over to 75. And this has got a lot of new renovation in commercial property coming up around it. There's the Walnut Hill Village that is happening right there at Walnut Hill, and
That's a great place.
and Skillman, which has a little bit of everything in it. I think there's Trader Joe's is in there now, and you're not very far from the Alamo Drafthouse Theater, which is at Skillman and Abrams. Just a great general location, but still in a single-family neighborhood that's got lots of trees and lots of personality.
One of the little gems in this neighborhood is that this one is actually close enough to the Dallas Buddhist Center that on Sundays you can go there and get some of the best Asian food there is. It's kind of one of those things where you just kind of get in line and there's a bunch of different vendors, but you get a lot for your money, and it is some of the best authentic Asian food you'll get. One of the other great things about this house is that it's actually walking distance to Lake Highlands Elementary. So you get there, if you'd like to walk, that's great. And then Lake Highlands Junior High and High School, just a little bit further, but still I would consider it in the neighborhood. This home is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1905 square feet, and was built in 1956. It's actually on a corner, which is a great feature on this house. Gives you a really good, ample space in that front yard. So if you're one of those people that enjoys doing yard work, this would be a really good house for you to look into. The mature trees around the house add a lot of shade and give you a very strong homey feel. Again, like Jeff said, this is in the L Streets, and it's probably one of the up-and-coming neighborhoods that we're going to see really begin to catch on fire as it becomes really affordable in this neighborhood. This was good original hardwood floors throughout. They had replaced the windows, which was really nice, allowed some natural light into that front living room. That they'd done an excellent job of using the furniture and spacing it all out properly, and so it didn't feel like it was too crowded or rushed. One of the great things about this home is that all of the bedrooms from front to back all run on one side of the house. So this allows really just to maintain the house in a very simple, easy manner. Bedrooms were good sized, and then they also continued with the original hardwood floors throughout.
And this one, the garage has been converted into additional living space, which is, they're currently using kind of as a kid's playroom, office area, well-used space. There is ample parking outside of that.
Right.
So you're not giving any part of that up. Also this one was the one with the tankless hot water heater in it.
So a really good home. This one was priced at $354, and that comes in at $168.3. Again, this is 9505 Larchwood Drive, and it is in Lake Highlands Estates. So we wanted to say thank you to Leonora Owsley for allowing us to talk about your home.
So the last one we're going to talk about today is jumping down to Oak Cliff, and this is at 3421 South Ravinia. It's a really cool neighborhood, lots of topography, and when I say topography, I mean lots of topography. Very heavily treed neighborhood, quite a variety of homes there, very conveniently located right off of Keystone, Westmoreland. You have Keys Park that's not very far. The Oak Cliff Nature Preserve is a fantastic place to go hiking on the weekend. It's got lots of small trails that can be from a mile long to, I think the longest one's about 7 miles.
It's a good walk.
And, it's just a great location there.
So this is one of those rare homes that is actually, the lot is actually almost 600 feet long. It is 1.2 or 1.3 acres, and it's close enough to downtown Dallas that you can be there in probably 15 minutes. But when you're at the house, you actually will hear not a single thing at it. This one is actually as close to a mid-century modern as you can be. It's built in 1954. It is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 2-car garage with a 1-car carport, I believe. This house has been gently renovated on the inside and is move-in ready. We were really impressed with the way that the house had been situated on the property. There's quite a bit of topography on the lot, but they've done such a good job on this one. This house, I don't think is going to last too long for the simple fact that it is such a unique feature. And as we drove out there to go look at this house, there were at least two other houses that had similar age built, probably not quite as large a lot, that were actually going through the process, where the dumpsters were there, where the permit signs were out, where modern construction was being done. So this is one of those secret neighborhoods, if we can use that actually shows you what you can get inside of Dallas and still really have that getaway feel and still be big city living. Yeah,
there was a lot of opportunity in the lot on this house. As Weston said, it is move-in ready, but if you did need to do some expansion on it, you've got a lot of room for that, and you've got a lot of different possibilities. Whether you go up or you go out, it's ready.
This would be one of those ones that, and just we'll jump on this, but the way that the backyard slopes and that topography and the way that it picks back up as it kind of goes a little bit away from you, so there's a dip. This would be one of those pools that would be like in an architectural magazine because it has the perfect setup for an infinity edge and kind of a recycling look. It just, that you don't get topography like this very often, and so right there you can kind of see what we were talking about with the houses on the far right-hand side. You can see a tip of the deck, but in that dip right there where that green spot is, that would be such a cool way to set that. And that backyard does face west, but there's so many trees around there. I think that it's just the right amount of light combination with shade. So.
Yeah. And the lot in this goes a lot farther than you can see in that. It's probably, you're looking at probably, I'm going to say maybe 2/3 of the lot at the most.
I agree with that.
And it can continues way on back. So this home is priced at $269, and that's about $190 a square foot for a house that's in, this kind of condition. Great value.
It is. And this one, we wanted to say thank you to DeCarla Anderson. I know that she's had a lot of open houses and some great traffic on it, so it'll be really fun to watch and see what happens to this house. And maybe we'll do an episode and see what happens when the next owner gets a hold of this.
Sounds good.
Well, if you're just now tuning in, we want to say thank you so much for joining. This second segment that we're about to do is all about navigating a home inspection.
Yes.
So we know a lot about home inspections. I think we probably do 2 a week.
There are a bunch of them.
So what we wanted to do is kind of break a home inspection down as to who does it, what they're trying to reveal on it, and then what do we do with this type of information? Because it's really critical. This is that one point that you get to make the decisions in the option period about what's going to happen.
Right.
So the first thing we talk about in this inspection,
the home inspector is someone that you hire to go out there, and so he's on your side. That is the thing to always remember. The home inspector should have no relationship with the other party in the transaction. They should be just a totally independent person
Right.
that comes out there with an open mind and is prepared to give you their perspective on the house. Now, home inspectors are all licensed by the Texas Real Estate Commission. And as part of that licensure, they all have to have a certain format of education, and they all use the same form. But what's really interesting is I was going to pull a couple of forms off to show them to you today. The base form that the inspectors have to use is only 6 pages long.
you'll never see that.
No, but our inspection we received yesterday, I think, had 36 pages in it by the time that the inspector had added photographs and had added, diagrams and examples of what he was looking for when he found something different. So it's the whole process is about having a list of things that they check when they go through.
Yeah, and so the list that they're going to be making is to identify problems with the houses. And so what they're doing is they're actually comparing the house that you're interested in and have a contract on to actual today's standards. So at times there are going to be a lot of deficiencies that they mark simply because that wasn't something that was available at the time that the house was constructed. Now that doesn't mean that it doesn't work, or that doesn't mean that there's a problem. It just means it doesn't meet today's standards, and therefore by their licensing they must mark it deficiency. So that's one of the things you kind of need to wrap your head around, that when you see that list, it's not all bad. They can also help you prioritize and discuss what needs additional look and what is a repair that must be made, what's a safety issue, and what's something that's just a general cosmetic.
Yeah, there's no obligation in any of our contracts for any party to do any repairs on a property. But one of the things the inspector can help you determine is, based on he won't help you based on the value, but you can determine based on the price you're getting for the property and what kind of deal it is, how many of those things you are going to be able to overlook,
Right.
and how many of them are really important to you that you want to have the seller address in one way or another.
Yep. So one of the things that we want to talk about is what is that inspector actually going to inspect? And this is a list of the items that they look at. This doesn't necessarily mean that this is the only inspection, right?
No, not at all. When the inspector comes through and starts looking at this general list of things, they are, in many instances, if they find things wrong with the plumbing system, they're going to recommend that you have that portion of the system inspected by a licensed plumber. In many cases, the HVAC system is going to have service that is needed on it. It's not operating, perfectly, and so he'll recommend or she'll recommend that you have that inspected by an HVAC person. So that initial mechanical inspection is really kind of your first wave of defense, and there might be other inspections you have to pay for.
Yep, exactly. So it's not just a single inspections at times, depending on the age of the house, and even if the mechanical inspector doesn't find something wrong with the plumbing, knowing the age of the house and the area, because we've been in the area buying and selling for a while, sometimes we'll just say, you know what, given our history in this neighborhood, we suggest hiring a plumber just to go one step further, or an HVAC, or have an engineer come out and look at things. So sometimes it's a little bit more than what is just a single inspection.
Yep. And one of the things that we always recommend that you have done is, if you're when you're about to put your home on the market, is to have a pre-listing inspection done. And some of the ways that a seller needs to kind of prepare for that part of it is put your paperwork together from all of the big work that you've had done. Pull your roof receipt, pull your pool pump motor receipt, pull any foundation.
Any maintenance.
Yeah, any kind of maintenance documentation, because you really want your home to look squeaky clean. I mean, that is, it's something we talked about earlier, where if you've got all of this documentation and you can present this to a buyer, it shows them that you maintain that property better than most people do.
Yep. And some of the things that you need to do that you don't even think about is replace light bulbs, because the inspector doesn't determine if the outlet is deficient or if it was a light bulb. And therefore, if it's just a light bulb, you get dinged for that. And so it's one of those things that kind of becomes a negotiating issue, and it's just something to think about. We do a really good job of walking clients through these pre-listing inspections, pointing out information that is something that we want to have done, and then presenting it to a future buyer in a way that makes them feel comfortable, so that we don't have to negotiate anything that's on that report, that only things that are of new discovery would we be negotiating.
Right.
So it really helps.
And many of these things where you would do, even if you're a seller preparing for a buyer's inspection, like get boxes out of the closets where the inspector needs access to the
Scuttle hole.
roof or the scuttle hole. And so moving on, kind of some of the ways that you prepare to be the buyer for the inspection is understand that inspectors are going to grade your home according to current construction code. So if your home was built in the 50s and the electrical system has never been updated, it might be functioning perfectly, but it doesn't meet the 2019 code, and therefore the inspectors are going to note it as deficient.
Right. And so they'll show you the good, the bad, and ugly, and then again, that report comes out. And again, so don't be scared. Those pictures look really kind of freaky when they crawl under the house if it's pier and beam. Sometimes things look really dark and dingy.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, that's what we do. We kind of help you with that. What do you do when you are having your house inspected? Please pay attention to this. Oh my God.
Just 3 simple suggestions here. Go to a movie, go to the dog park, go anywhere but be at your home while the inspector and the buyer are there. It is it is a situation where you can be, as a seller, you can be put in so much peril because of the way you answer things or the way that you point things out. You really need to give that buyer and the inspector unfettered access to the property.
And we understand that you are trying to be helpful. We all are. But at the end of the day, it kind of hinders our negotiations. And sometimes it goes even further beyond that, like you're saying, and you can be kind of held in a situation where maybe something you said was too much or they construed it incorrectly. So again, best to pick up and leave.
Yeah.
So,
and what to do if you are, what you're to do during the inspection if you're a buyer, be at the inspection.
Yep.
Certainly come to it. The inspectors that we work with, when they have that initial phone call with people, they'll tell people, come for as much of it as you want to. If you want to be here when I start, be here when I start. If you want to come at the very end and I give you the recap, do that. One of the other things we recommend is bring a tape measure, because during those times that the inspection's going on, you're going to have a little downtime, and it's going to be a really good time for you to measure how big is that wall. Will my credenza fit over here? Will my 112-inch TV fit on this wall? It's, all of those things that you're going to go home and think, oh, forgot.
Now, one of the things that we do go ahead and tell our buyers is that as an inspector has a pattern and a recipe in which they do inspections, and they don't want to be not engaging with you, but at the same time, if you're always there talking to them, sometimes you distract them in a way that they may miss something. And so it's really great to say, hey, I'm so-and-so the buyer, and I just want to walk around. I'm not going to disturb you. That is really the best way. When it comes to the summary, they're happy to walk you through all aspects of the house that they find that you have questions about. And then know that at any point later on, you can call them and they are happy to go and discuss it with you. So
Absolutely. And what to do when you get your inspection report? You'll probably get it overnight. Very rarely do inspectors actually have it printed right there at the site anymore. Keep in mind that they're going to be lengthy. There are probably going to be between 30 and 50 pages of information. One of the things that we help you do is go through the inspection and see if there are any deal breakers, because if there are deal breakers in that inspection, there is no sense in going through the rest of the inspection. If you've made a decision you're not purchasing that home because of something, let's go ahead and move on from that point. And then, once we've determined there's not any of those, we're really good at helping you categorize by importance. What do we need to get addressed?
Yep. And so what we'll do with that list after it's been categorized of what needs to be done, we want to move into the section of negotiating those repairs. And so the negotiating of the repairs can always happen in a couple of ways. We can ask for them to make the repairs for you. We can ask for them to give you money in lieu of at closing costs or off the price of the home, or you can have a combination of the two done. And one of the things that we've kind of found that kind of works best for our clients is to actually get the money for the repairs. If as much as you can, of course, that you probably aren't always going to get all of it, but what you do get, that allows you to begin the relationship with the repairs. It's also if Jeff hired someone to make repairs and then I came in to the house and I called and said, hey, this repair you made wasn't quite right, they really have no responsibility to me because it's to Jeff, but then Jeff doesn't own the house anymore. So it's one of those things we really encourage our buyers to think about.
Yeah, and the buyers and sellers' goals in a repair scenario are not always lining up, because the seller wants to have it done in the most efficient, cost-effective manner, and the buyer wants it done to the best quality that can be, and those two things sometimes don't meet. So
they don't line up all the time. So that's one of the things that we really try to work with. Our big thing is to work through the inspection report as fast as we can. We like to get it done so that if there are additional inspections that need to be done, we have time and we can get this all on track for your closing time.
Yep. And then once we get through that inspection report, where do we go from there? Well, that's usually the point that the appraisal is ordered through the lender if there's a mortgage process going on. If there are any repairs that the seller is going to do, they usually get started on those. We move through that final loan approval, and then if there were repairs the seller was going to do, we will go back and do a re-inspection on that. And depending on the how much the repairs are, it might be something that the buyer can walk through and see, oh yes, that was painted, or oh yes, that plate was switched.
Right.
And then sometimes you hire the inspector to come back and just kind of do that once over on your repair list.
Depending on how big the list is, but definitely if that is something that you have time for, we would encourage to have that re-inspection done.
Yep.
Well, after that, it's just time to close and then move in.
Yeah,
So,
that's it.
well, thank you so much for joining. We hope that was helpful. If there's other information that you'd like to hear from us, we'd love to hear from you. Give us a comment or send us a direct message.
I'm sorry.
I was going to tell them about next week's show.
That's a good idea.
So next week's show, again, we're going to jump into HOAs, those pesky little things, and talk a little bit more about what to expect, what's realistic, and what you've signed on for when you move into one of those.
So thank you for tuning in today. If you'd like to reach out to us, we'd love to hear from you. There's a variety of ways to connect with us. Go to our Facebook page and like us there. Visit us on Instagram. Ceci does a great job of showing our properties out there and talking about things that we have going on in the real estate market. Visit our website, updikepugh.com. There's a lot of information there that gets into the detail about buying and selling a home. And if you have a home that you'd like to get a price on, visit homeprice.fyi. And there you can go enter your address in, put a couple of pieces of information in, and you will get an estimated home value instantly. Last of all, reach out to us in all the traditional ways, by phone or by email. We'd love to hear from you.
Thanks for tuning in.
We'll see you next week.
And remember, we're your realtors for life.